Alright, so this video is going to be very different from the last video that I made, because I just want to try this out and see if it is more time effective and also delivers quality for you. So let's try this out. So last time I wanted to tell you about 3 things that I want teams to be able to deliver features and value independently from each other and not blocking each other in terms of release plans and unexpected things that happen, right? So basically that's a microservice approach on the front end. And I think that microservices, a core concept is that you should be able to have different technologies, different platforms between the different teams, because otherwise in the long run you'll end up with having to replace everything, and the client and the front end is moving so fast anyway. So that's a bad property, I think, of client-side development, that if you need to replace the whole application or the whole website after like 2, 3, 4 years, that's not very good for business, right? So you want to have some form of diversity, have support for diversity, not seeing that as like something bad that you have to avoid, right? So teams should be able to use whatever library or framework that they want, server-side or client-side. But on the client side, it's very much more constraining because you have this single runtime, and the server side is not like that, right? And on mobile devices, you have much more limited in terms of CPU performance and network. So that doesn't really favor that you have a lot of frameworks and libraries on the same page, because we have problems with load time right now with just a single framework library, and having multiple of those in the same browser is not going to be a very good idea. So I would say that like client-side front-end development doesn't favor diversity in the same application, right? So what should we do instead? I think that we should use Transclusion much more than we're doing today. And Transclusion is a really interesting technique. It's basically like an image source tag, but on the server side, and not transcluding images into HTML documents, but instead transcluding HTML content, like small fragments, into being whole pages. So you're kind of making a collage of small fragments composed into one larger page. So maybe you have a product page, and some of that page needs to grab different resources from different teams, and you just grab those resources by URLs using like an image source tag, but a different concept. And you can use Transclusion like on the server side or client side. One technique that I've used a lot on the server side is called edge side includes, ESI. And something that's available on the client side is client side includes. Like Mark Nottingham has written a library a long time ago called h-include, and I wrote like a web component version of that works very similar to ESI on the client side, that you can have includes that actually includes the includes, so transitive includes. So yes, I think Transclusion is a very, very interesting technology and undervalued and underused in this world when we have more teams having to deliver more value independently, and not having this single front-end team that blocks the value stream for all other backend teams. So that's basically what I want to tell you more about in the future, and also to tell you much more about things that I think are not mentioned enough in the community. And Transclusion is one of those ideas. And I'm not just going to talk about technicalities, but also basically anything that I think is valuable in the workplace for IT development, basically. And so let's see how this turns out, this video, and see you next time. Cheers.